Before we begin, please imagine the bell notification is on and you're subscribed to Huna Stories. The hospital called at 6:12 a.m. You don't get calls like that unless something is wrong. I was awake before the nurse finished saying my mother's name. 82, chest pain. They needed her brought in immediately. My car was still in the shop. Transmission rebuild. 3 more days. I walked into the kitchen. My wife was pouring coffee, scrolling through her phone. "I need your car," I said. "They want Mom at the hospital." She didn't look up. "I have a meeting." "It's 6 in the morning?" A pause, a sigh, then she met my eyes. "Not my problem. Figure it out." There was no anger in her voice, just dismissal. That made it heavier. Something inside me didn't explode. It went quiet. "Okay," I said. I stepped outside and called. Mr. Hanley next door, retired paramedic. We'd shared small favors over the years, nothing significant. He answered immediately. "I'll be there in 10. He arrived in sweatpants and a windbreaker, fully alert, no questions, no hesitation. We drove to my mother's house together. He helped her into the car, gently, speaking to her with calm assurance. At the hospital, authority took over. Intake forms, monitors, a cardiologist explaining that it was a mild cardiac episode but unstable enough to require admission. The word unstable settled into the room like a weight. My mother squeezed my hand and apologized for being trouble. I told her she wasn't. I meant it. I texted my wife. "She's admitted, I'll stay." No blame, just information. Hours passed in steady beeps and clinical updates. Nurses moved with competence. The system worked. When something mattered, people responded. Late the next morning, while my mother slept, I checked my phone. 31 missed calls. The first few spaced out, then closer together, then back to back. Messages shifting tone. "Why aren't you answering? This isn't funny. Call me, please." I stepped into the hallway and called her. "You ignored me," she said immediately. "I was with Mom. You could have picked up. The doctor was explaining her condition." Silence, then quieter. I was worried. "I was too," I said. There wasn't much else to add. The next afternoon, my mother was discharged with medication adjustments and strict instructions. Mr. Hanley drove us home again. He carried the pharmacy bag without being asked. When we pulled into my driveway, my wife was standing at the door. Relief crossed her face, mixed with something defensive. Inside, I explained the diagnosis, the follow-up appointment, the dietary changes. Calmly, factually. Mr. Hanley handed me a printed sheet about cardiac recovery and said, "If you need anything, call." After he left, the house felt smaller. "You could have told me it was serious," my wife said. "I did." "You didn't explain." I didn't argue. That seemed to land harder than anything emotional would have. That evening, I signed up for a temporary vehicle share program Mr. Hanley recommended. I arranged backup transportation for future appointments. I asked him if he'd be willing to be an emergency contact if needed. He agreed. I told my wife what I'd set up, not as punishment, just as logistics. "So you're just handling this without me now?" she asked. "I'm making sure she's covered. There's a difference between retaliation and adjustment." I wasn't trying to win anything. I was removing uncertainty. Over the next few days, she offered the car without being asked, checked in about medication times, suggested coming to the follow-up appointment. I noticed, I appreciated it, but something had shifted. When someone tells you, "not my problem," during an emergency, you don't just hear the sentence, you hear where you stand in that moment. I didn't bring it up again. I didn't lecture. I didn't withdraw affection dramatically. I simply stopped assuming support would be there. That morning in the kitchen replayed in my head sometimes, not with anger, with clarity. She called me 31 times the next day. I answered once, not to punish her, just because I was busy handling what she said wasn't her problem.